This is Generations. Kevin Swanson with you. And the cannon is all over the deck for old Tucker Carlson. The cannon's over there. The cannon's over here. Whoa, hang on. The cannon just went over. It's over here. It's over there. Controversy erupts over his recent comments. Hey, guys, Muslims love Jesus. They see him as a great prophet. Or Trump may be the Antichrist. Or Tucker's suggestion that TPUSA America Fest poll of young conservatives that placed radical Islam as the top threat to America was a psychological operation from the Israeli government and its U.S. defenders. Or Tucker calling Senator Ted Cruz more morally repulsive than Nick Fuentes. Now, I'm not really interested in taking apart every one of these statements from our buddy Tucker, but, and by the way, I'm not really needing to tune into Joe Rogan's argument that we live in a computer simulation, or that government agencies are hiding extraterrestrial life, or that every single anti-establishment idea is worth contemplating, or that psychedelics can produce genuine spiritual or consciousness expanding experiences. What I'm trying to do here is identify the spirit of the age in a society that's off track, gone sideways, lost its wheels, running over the edge, scraping guardrails. I believe there's always some need to understand the times, certainly to understand the people to whom we are attempting to minister. So there's no question that times are a-changing. High level now, high level. There's this move from optimism over the line of despair to pessimism, from certainty to mass uncertainty. And this kind of thing is playing out on the macro scale. There's this move on both the side of the right and the left from rationality to irrationality. Now, high level again, 2020's Rogan is not 1990s Rush. Can I say that one more time? 2020's Rogan is not 1990s Rush. Fundamentally, this is to question everything, and I mean everything. Now, Rush defended a fairly coherent conservative worldview built upon free markets, constitutional government, American exceptionalism, anti-communism, and traditional values. But Rogan doesn't consistently defend a single philosophy. And please understand, he is by far and above the most popular online thing that's out there today. I mean, he's bigger than us. It's more about idle curiosity and skepticism without any commitment to certainty for somebody like Rogan. And again, he appeals to the heart of the present age. That's the whole point. That's why he gets 20 million downloads per program. Today, we're supposed to question everything except one thing I choose to believe, at least at the moment. Okay? So question everything except the thing I choose to believe for the next 20 seconds. Okay. Now, Rush usually sounded confident and full of conviction. Rogan, much more willing to say, I don't know, maybe it's true. Let's hear more. That's interesting. Now, this aligns with the widespread mistrust of all institutions on the part of the right, the center, and the left. There's far less ideological loyalty. Stability is gone. Watch the worldview. Okay. That's all I'm saying here. Watch the worldview. What's the shift since the 1960s? Well, Lyndon B. Johnson, the people had very high confidence in big government solutions. When LBJ expanded government programs to fix social problems, everybody believed him. That was the 1960s. Not so much today. Ronald Reagan put more confidence in the free market and patriotism, belief in our country. It was a small respite following the Jesus movement in the 1970s. And Bill Clinton and the Bushes, pretty excited about the New World Order, globalization, economic growth, pragmatic centricism. And then Barack Obama carried all that forward. But Joe Biden attempted the sharp move to the left, but now even the left was admitting that he was pretty much senile. It was a mental breakdown for the nation for those 4 years. But now we come to Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Yeah. What can we say? So Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, they lead the country now. Okay, so what is this? Where are we going? Follow the topics, guys. Watch the cannon roll all over the deck. And I mean all over the deck. Just keep your eye on the cannon. Sadly, hardly anybody realizes what's happening because they're, I guess, riding on the cannon. Follow the meandering wording of the podcasters. Follow the meandering topics. Follow the second, third, fourth grade level language. Follow the use of the F word. Follow the coarse, degrading talk. Follow the lack of civil language. Follow the spontaneous digressions. And ask yourself, where are we going? What is real? Is there anything real? Have we given ourselves up to relativism, not just in ethics, but now metaphysics? Ask yourself this question. Suppose that cooler minds, saner minds, more judicious minds, more rational minds from a different era were following these podcasters. George Washington, listening to Joe Rogan, okay? Rutherford Hayes, Calvin Coolidge, Dwight Eisenhower, or more recently, Ronald Reagan, just tuning in to Donald Trump and Joe Rogan. What would these guys say? They would run for the exits and hide from whatever's going to happen to the nation next. Wisdom is at a premium today. Allegiances are temporary. Loyalties, tenuous. Agendas are pretty random. Stability is a lost cause. Chaos reigns in a revolutionary age. The right and the left are splintering. Part of it's moving communist. Part of it's moving towards some just raw, narrow-focused anti-Semitism. The parties are splintering on the left, right now. And they aren't splintering over what we would call biblically defined significant issues. Abortion, sodomites running the federal departments, things that would bring brimstone and fire down upon a nation because of the judgment of a holy and a righteous God. So those issues, they're pretty much abandoned. We haven't heard those issues much for 10 years now. The solutions are obvious, straightforward. We've been saying this for 30 years. The Republicans don't fear God. The Democrats don't fear God. Conservatives don't fear God. Trump doesn't fear God. Mandami doesn't fear God. Homeschoolers, private schoolers, public schoolers on average don't fear God. They have no idea what it would look like to fear God. They don't know what it means. They've never heard of it. And the parties aren't dividing over killing children. The Republicans used to draw lines on more fundamental issues, but now they're splintering over diversions. It's just weird. I think any person thinking rationally would say, this is weird. Almost everything that happens in the Capitol today, federal, state, whatever, it's pretty much worthless at best, mostly counterproductive, just a waste of 48% of the net gross national income. So we need to realize that government doesn't fix problems. Governments are assigned to defend the country's borders, hang murderers from time to time. That's pretty much it. Occasionally, a civil government does the right thing. So we're not dismissing it altogether. I wrote one book on the civil magistrates called Under God. My other 40 books are about living our everyday life for God, giving our children an education in the fear of God, raising our children in the nurture of the Lord Jesus Christ, and following Jesus. 95% of life is about building godly families, home-based family discipleship, family economies, and godly churches that care for the widows and build each other up by godly edification. Now, the other 3 to 5% of life is the civil magistrate. So don't get drawn into intramural squabbles that don't account for much, such as who ripped off who in the crack house down the street, who's redistributing more money into the pockets of the wrong people, and who raped who at the high school orgy next door. Don't be diverted from the things that matter most. The world needs the redemption of Jesus. Those people need the gospel out there. They're dividing over Israel, Ukraine, Iran, Trump, tariffs, immigration, technology policy, Tucker and Candace. Today, we're going to talk about divisions, wider standard deviations on the right and on the left. We live in unusual times. What to say about it? Bill Jack joins me now in studio. And Bill, you've just come back from a summer ministering to tons of young people, hundreds of young people across the country. And I'm so thankful for what Worldview Academy's been doing. But you heard my intro of this is all over the map. This is the cannon moving all over the deck. I think we're giving way to a relativism, and it's just got to be affecting the mind of the young generation.
Kevin, even Worldview Academy deals with a very unique level, a segment of the youth population.
Mostly Christian kids?
Already professing for the most part.
Yeah.
Now sometimes they show up thinking they own their faith and they're just riding mom and dad's coattails. So we have students who come to camp who get saved, but it's not a come get your unsaved friends saved camp.
These kids have been going to church for the last 14 years.
And they come because they know it's a leadership program. Okay. They want to be trained. They want to make a difference, generally. Okay, so but you've touched on the problem that we even see with this group. I mean, the average youth group is dealing with this segment of the population. Yeah. We're dealing with a very unique,
kind of the icing on the top of the cake. Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
These are students who want to be leaders. But I've seen what you have highlighted in your opening comments, and that is it's an age of confusion.
That's the word you would use.
It's an age of confusion. Okay. It starts with there's biblical illiteracy, okay, and I'm seeing that increase.
Which when you say that, you're just saying they've lost the foundations,
right?
The footers that go 28 feet down into the soil. When you have no footers, we have no concrete,
right?
Man, you're going to be all over the place. Well, it's the cannon that's not bolted to the deck, right? That's the illustration.
And I see it in little things, like when I make a reference to a passage of Scripture, that they go to the index to find the book. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's illiteracy even among these students. Okay, there's confusion. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's confusion all over the place, and it leads to a lack of concern for liberty, okay,
or any value. You think about it. I mean, nobody really has a commitment to values. You take something like Rush Limbaugh, and I contrasted Rush and Rogan.
Yeah, and I thought that was a very insightful contrast because you were correct. Limbaugh had a foundation, a firm foundation.
You could feel it,
right?
Even though part of it was ego. But he was even self-deprecating with the ego thing too.
Yeah. It was part of his shtick.
Yeah. But you feel that he had a strong foundation,
right?
Basic Christian propositions.
Right. He had a biblical foundation, and he understood the history of the nation. Yeah. Okay, which rested on a biblical foundation. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan does not have that. Yeah. Okay, and Tucker is all over the place, as you said, and it reminded me of 2 Timothy 3. But realize this: that in the last days, difficult times will come. Okay, that's what we're in. We're in difficult times.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. Okay. Go.
For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to a form of godliness, although they have denied its power. Avoid such men as these, for among them are those who enter into households and captivate weak women weighed down with sins, led by various impulses. And here's the key part. This is what reminded me why I went to this passage. Always learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth.
And now, these people are dangerous. The other thing is these people are dangerous because it says perilous times.
Yes.
It's dangerous. You believe this is a dangerous time?
Yes. In fact, verse 8 says, just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose, and here it is again, the truth. Men of depraved mind, rejected in regard to the faith. So there's this spirit of confusion that has encompassed our culture. Mm-hmm. And because we've abandoned the truth. And so you listed so many conspiracy theories that are popular. Mm-hmm. It reminded me of the Mel Gibson movie.
Conspiracy Theory,
yes,
the book.
Which movie, is, I mean, every conspiracy theory at the time was embedded in that film. It was a fun film to watch because of that. But what you laid out is exactly that. And what we're seeing is they're forever learning but never able to come to a knowledge of, it doesn't say Jesus Christ. It doesn't say salvation. It says what? The truth. Mm-hmm. And what did Jesus say? Because I ask students all the time, I say, okay, our goal is as Christian soldiers, one of our goals is to set people free, to take the captives captive. It's one of our duties. How do we as Christians set people free? And inevitably they will say, give them Jesus. And I say, no.
The truth will make you free. Isn't that what Jesus said? Jesus said the truth will make you free.
I'm sure you're writing down heresy, call mama right now, okay? Mm-hmm. And I said, what did Jesus say? Jesus said, you shall know the
truth,
and the
truth
shall set you free. Mm-hmm. People have to understand the bad news before they can understand and accept the good news. We as a church have just abandoned the bad news. We've got to come to a place where we say it's either Jesus or the pit.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two options here. And yet we have tried to soft pedal the message. And because we haven't spoken the truth to the culture is in this state of confusion, so clearly pointed out by your commentary in the beginning. I want to have that written out, because you've listed just about everything that could be listed. And it illustrates the confusion in which we find ourselves today.
But let's get to the worldview answer, and that is, there's a problem with relativism. Relativism has been around since Nietzsche. Relativism has been around since, the philosophers of, I'm going to say, the latter 19th century into the early 20th centuries.
It's been around since the Garden of Eden. But did God really say?
But did he really say? But in terms of the steady application at a very high level in which almost all society is being deceived right now, that wasn't happening as much in the 1940s and 1950s.
No.
This thing has gone basically viral. It's all over. You had the avant-garde. It might have been taken by it in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. But in the last 10 years, I'm going to say just the last 10 years, the doctrine of relativism has been absolutely embedded, believed, held to, and lived out self-consistently by this generation. Wouldn't you say more so than the 1980s?
Yes. And it's infected the church. It's infected us. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who has an adult son, and his adult son told, and his son was raised in a Christian home, okay,
Christian church,
and his son told him there's more than one way to get to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the confusion of our age.
Right.
It's the relativism of our age. You Christians, you are too narrow. You are too rigid.
Right.
You need to be big tent. You need to open the doors to the possibility of other worldviews being true.
Right.
Okay.
And hence why doctrine, as in the doctrine of the Trinity, the doctrine of God being God and sovereign, the doctrine of creation, the basic doctrines don't matter to the average Christian. They just don't matter. What was the stat? Only 7-8% of the present population of Americans believe in the Trinity.
Yeah.
And still 50 to 60% of them call themselves Christians.
Now, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because what that means is that I have job security.
Yeah.
I have job security in dealing with students. Okay?
But what they're saying is doctrine doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter. The foundation doesn't matter.
Right.
The fact that we're putting our footers 28 feet into the ground doesn't matter anymore. We're just pitching a relativistic tent, and we're going to move the tent anytime we want to. And there is no such thing as a foundational truth.
Right.
Fundamental
Or you're trying to sink your foundation into quicksand and expecting it to hold.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. There's a reason that they can build skyscrapers on Long Island. It's because there's bedrock underneath.
Is this the reason why everything is so slippery and there tends to be a lack of stability? We're heading towards a revolutionary age. I'm trying to understand what's happening with the Democrats and what's happening to the right or the Republicans. Bill, it just seems that nobody's really, anchored into anything.
Right.
Now, the Democrats never have been, but...
And so you watch the Democrats, they don't believe in anything as absolute, except that there is no absolute.
But it seems like the standard
power.
deviation, the standard deviation, talking statistics, the range of belief, the craziness ratio is larger than ever on both sides.
Right.
Are you seeing this?
Yes. And you see it because there's no discussion among Republicans about the issue of abortion anymore. There's no discussion in the church.
Very concerning. Right. It's huge.
Okay? There's no discussion now about same-sex marriage. They've abandoned that one. There's not much discussion in the church about that. Mm-hmm. Okay? And it's all about feelings. Okay? We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by speaking the truth. We don't want to drive people away. Mm-hmm. We want to win them to Christ. And the answer is, that's not the way Jesus did it. We need to entertain youth into the kingdom. No, that's not the way Jesus made disciples. He said, you're going to have to eat my flesh, drink my blood. You're going to have to bear your cross. You're going to have to die to yourself. We don't call for commitment generally. Now, I'm broad brushing, okay? There's hope. I believe there is hope. But we generally do not. When we get a convert to Christianity, it's almost like we welcome him into the country club, okay? And we don't call for commitment, and we don't expect leadership. There's an excellent book. It's a classic in youth ministry called Dedication and Leadership by Douglas Hyde. He converted to Catholicism from Marxism in England. And he wrote a book, and he showed how the Marxists have taken biblical principles, distorted them, and are outdoing Christians. When they got a convert, they made him go out and sell a newspaper called The Daily Worker. Mm-hmm. He'd go out and he'd get rejected. He'd get cursed at, laughed at. He'd come back and he'd go, "Oh, I don't know how to answer that." Well, sit down here. Let me tell you how to answer that. Here's how you do this. Mm-hmm. Now go do it again. That's called discipleship. Yeah. And they viewed every potential convert to Marxism as a leader. Mm-hmm. We don't do that. We don't call for dedication, and we don't expect leadership.
And do discipleship to bring it about. Now, you heard my opening comments where I'm saying, okay, let's say that Calvin Coolidge or let's say that Dwight Eisenhower, both of them godly men. Dwight Eisenhower was baptized while he was in the White House, and his favorite hymn was Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine. Rutherford Hayes had hymn sings in the White House. A famous guy, and I think one of the better presidents ever. And so what would they say? What would George Washington say if they fast forwarded into this generation
and had a conversation with Joe Rogan
and saw the killing of the babies? Maybe they saw the whole thing. They saw the killing of the babies, the appointment of flaming homosexuals to the highest office at the federal level. They saw the crazy Rogan thing. They hear the F and this, F and that. What would Rutherford Hayes say about that?
It's fascinating. You caught me smiling when you mentioned Rutherford B. Hayes, because we did one of our leadership camps.
You ran into Rutherford Hayes?
Yeah, at Delaware, Ohio.
Ohio.
That was his hometown.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Delaware, Ohio. And in fact, in roaming through the town, it's not a big town, there was a plaque of a Presbyterian church founded in 1810, and it says Rutherford B. Hayes, 19th President of the United States, was baptized in this congregation in 1823.
Wow.
And it goes on to talk about the church's history. And there was a member of the church, Dr. Horace Newton Allen, and his wife, Frances, who were both graduates of the Ohio Wesleyan University. They left Delaware in 1883 as medical missionaries in China and then Korea. Oh, wow. And he founded the Presbyterian Church of Korea, became U.S. ambassador to Korea, established that country's healthcare system. He translated the Bible into Korean, wrote the first Korean-English dictionary, among other accomplishments. Okay, I mean, there's rich history in this church.
Yes,
it is so rich, and it's in this plaque right outside the church.
Tremendous.
And then you walk around the front, and they're flying the pride flags and celebrating diversity.
Right.
Okay, and you wonder why there's a dearth of truth.
Yeah.
It's because the confusion
That's it.
has grabbed the church.
Right.
Okay, it's grabbed the church and it's strangling the church, and therefore we have students who are on a sea of opinions with a million options and no compass to guide them. No wonder Jesus wept over Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. There are times when I look out on students and it makes me want to weep because they have zeal. Mm-hmm. But they perish for lack of
knowledge.
Right. And that's why Worldview Academy
Sheep without
exists.
A shepherd.
Yeah.
The church is broken down. God help us.
And yet there's hope, because I every Wednesday we take them out, and we took them out to downtown Delaware, and they are engaging in conversation with witches, okay, with homosexuals, okay, on the streets of Delaware. This once town that housed this great church and Rutherford B. Hayes' home, and now look at it now.
The American country is transformed by the Christian faith over a period of hundreds of years. In the last 100 years, my friends, it's broken down because of that Presbyterian church in Delaware, Ohio. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. It's the church. Judgment will begin in the household of God, but so will repentance. Repentance needs to begin in the household of God.
Yes. And that's why there's hope. Because
you think it's happening here and there.
The Holy Spirit is at
But Bill,
work.
as you know, it can't just happen in the Generations 501c3 ministry. It can't just happen in Worldview Academy. It's got to happen in First Baptist Church,
Right.
wherever.
It has
First
to happen
Presbyterian
in that
Church
Presbyterian Church.
in
It has to
downtown
happen,
Delaware.
everywhere.
My friends, that's it. That's what needs to happen. And it needs to start with you in your church now, in my church now. And that's the message to bring on this edition of Generations. Encourage you to the book Under God, which effectively gives you the agenda that we've been talking about for turning a nation around. It's called Under God, available at generations.org. This is Kevin Swanson and Bill Jack from Worldview Academy, inviting you back again next time as we continue to lay down a vision for the next generation. This has been a production of the Generations Media Network. For more information, go to generations.org/media.